Hello, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be actually starting a new series on the channel called Server Spotlight, and in the series we do kind of as the title says, we spotlight a server that I haven't tried out before, a brand new server again, that's kind of underpopulated or undervalued and not a lot of people know about. So today we're going to be looking over Dreamworld. We're going to be going over kind of the main features of the server, a quick overview, some of the reasons why people might want to join the server, as well as some background info, and then we're going to end it off with me spending a little bit of time in-game, getting used to it and kind of figuring out the new player experience and kind of maybe getting some ideas of how the server is in general. So, before this video starts, this is going to be the first one in the series, so sorry if it's not perfectly edited. Again, hopefully this is going to be a consistent series on the channel. So if you guys do have a server that you're interested in being spotlighted, please send an email to itszezgames@gmail.com. I'll put that up on screen right now. Again, itszezgames@gmail.com. I also did get a pop filter recently, so hopefully the audio quality is a little bit better and a little bit less harsh on your ears. So this series, again, I just want to reiterate one more time before we start it off. We're going to be starting off with some background info on the server, and then going over the main features of the server and a quick overview, and then ending it off with me spending a little bit of time in-game, getting an idea of the new player experience, ending with some final thoughts on the server, and I think at the end we are going to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10, overall, at least from, again, just checking out the features and from the new player experience as a whole. So first of all, again, we're going to be starting with some background info. So Dreamworld, again, the server that we are going to be doing a server spotlight on today, was originally released in April of this year, but after a couple months it was taken down to be completely reworked and has just been re-released a couple days ago, with the current average population of the server, at least from what I've seen, to be anywhere from around 60 to 130 players. Again, a pretty small server, but definitely still a decent, healthy server size. It also is a text and voice server that also relies heavily on /me and /do commands in RP. So now after you guys have a little bit of info on the server we're going to be looking at today, we first of all are going to be going over a little overview of the server and going through all of the main features on it. So let's do that right now. So again, now we're going to be going into the overview of the server. Again, I'm going to try and make these videos kind of short and kind of concise, so we're going to be going over these very fast, so make sure to pay attention. So first of all, for the main scripted legal jobs, because of course there are like PD and MD and DOC and all of that, but that is of course all whitelisted jobs. But for the main scripted jobs that any new player can just go up and start, there is a trucking job, a garbage collector job, money transport, lumberjack, fishing, and mining. Now there are also a couple other jobs that I noticed weren't listed on their site or on the forums, such as a juice job and a couple other small ones, and I think a delivery one as well. But I do believe these are most of the jobs that are released on their forums and on their website, and I did see most of these in-game, and then some of them I'm guessing you're going to have to find ICly. Now, for the illegal jobs and activities, again, I don't know if these are all of them, but these are at least all the ones that I could figure out and I could find. First off, there is weed growing, packaging, and selling. There is coke and cocaine, obviously production, packaging, and selling. There are gang turfs that different gangs can fight over. There are bank robberies. There are ATM robberies, chop shops, and weapons crafting. Now again, I wasn't able to figure out all of these, but I do hope this is pretty much the majority of the ones that I could find pretty easily. Next, we're going to be going into basically the general noteworthy features that kind of sets this server apart from other servers. Then after that, we're going to be going into what the new player experience looks like. And then again, after that, we're going to be giving the server a rating as well as an overview of what I thought of it. So again, for the general noteworthy features on the server, there is a unique achievement system with money awarded when achievements are completed. There is a vehicle mileage system with a vehicle service mechanism, so over time, parts of your vehicle will wear out and will need to be replaced by mechanics. And if you do not replace these parts, the top speed and acceleration as well as braking of your vehicle will wear down over time. There are custom vehicles, as in IRL vehicles. There is a casino. There are prison jobs. There is a pretty advanced crafting system I thought was really unique. There are player-owned businesses, and there's also a leveling and reputation system for each scripted job where you can kind of level up and I believe earn more money, although I never saw that while I was doing, of course, my little test. Alright, so now with that out of the way, again, we went over kind of some of the main scripted jobs as well as the illegal jobs and activities and some of the noteworthy features that I noticed. We are now going to be going over the little bit of time I spent on the server and how I felt the new player experience was in general. So let's go into that right away. Alrighty, so immediately after spawning in, I decided it would probably be a good idea to go over and rent a vehicle so I could get around a little bit easier. There was also that menu that popped up where you can select where you want to spawn, which is actually pretty nice. So after collecting my Faggio and driving a little bit, I decided to open up my map and kind of figure out where I want to go first. And after looking over a little bit of everything, I decided the first stop would 100% have to be a gun store to double check to make sure you can't just purchase a gun with no license. So quickly, I went on my way over to the gun store to hopefully test this out. After arriving there, thankfully I was not able to get a gun without a gun license and decided I should probably move on and probably try and get a driver's license, as that would probably be my first step coming into almost any server. So quickly I went over to the DMV, decided to take the test. It again was thankfully pretty easy, and after passing it I decided it was time for us to be done here. But before I decided to go on, I thankfully got an achievement, which again I thought was a really cool thing where after over time you do get achievements and you actually make money from doing certain things on the server. I thought it was really rewarding to do this, especially being a new player. And from here I decided to check out the main menu of the server, which again I can see my character stats, what licenses I currently have, as well as what clothes I have on, if I have any weapons, as well as just achievements menu. Again, some spelling mistakes here and there I noticed as well on the server. I also thought that these achievements were a really good idea because it does give players something to look forward to, as well as players something to kind of do over time. It makes them learn the server a little bit more, and also rewards players for playing on the server and doing a bunch of different activities and a wide range of them. I also checked out the help menu, which did provide some definitely much needed info, as well as some very helpful info for new players, and a little bit more about the commands on the service, as well as you could check how many players were online, as well as their ping and what level they currently are. And then after checking out these main menus, I decided to check out the faction menu, which definitely could use a little bit of work in my opinion. You can only request to join, you can't really see info about any of them or anything like that. But I think overall, it's a pretty interesting menu. I also did test a little bit of the email menu, which again could use a little bit of work, or maybe some previews to what emotes you're about to do, or maybe the name of the emote, so you're not just going through 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7, and instead are able to just kind of figure it out through either the names of the emotes or like a little icon showing you what kind. So quickly, again, after finishing this and checking through some of the menus, I decided to head over to one of the 24/7 stores and get myself a fishing rod and some bait to hopefully test out the fishing system and hopefully see a minigame or something like that. So, after getting a fishing rod as well as bait from the store, we headed over to the fishing area at the pier to test this out. Now, upon arriving and testing out one of these little red dots, I was a little disappointed as it wasn't an actual minigame or anything like that. It was just a generic hit E, wait until the fish comes, you get the fish, and then hit E to start fishing again. Unfortunately, I also noticed during this portion that it seemed to be my inventory, it was unable to restack items. So unfortunately, that bait I split earlier, I was not able to restack, and if this was me and I was having a lot of stuff in my inventory and I was not able to stack stuff up again very easily, it would be very, very annoying in my opinion, and hopefully the inventory on the server does get changed a little bit. I also did get, an achievement for catching my first fish, which again, I think these achievements are really good to the server and really make it so new players, through just doing normal activities, get little buffs of money to help you along your way. Now, after our pole finally broke after about 10 minutes or so of fishing, figured it was time to probably head off the pier, go sell my fish, and see how much money we made. I also noticed that it seemed like there was no actual amount of inventory weight that was in your inventory anywhere or anywhere to display that. But either way, I kept going on and decided to sell my fish. Now, after arriving at the fish selling area, which was a little bit north in the city, sold my fish, only got around $174, unfortunately. I thought this would have made me a little bit more money, especially because later on I did figure out that there is some sort of universal basic income, it seemed, of $1,900. But also, after selling my fish, the server did crash, and after finally coming back into the server, I figured we would try out a new job. This new job was I believe the delivery job or something like that. Product provider is what it was called, my bad. And after taking a little bit of time figuring out how to sign up for jobs, again, you have to hit the hire button at the bottom first. And I finally figured that out, and then you go on duty, and of course we would spawn our little vehicle. We also did get another achievement for this, which again are really nice to get while you're playing along. So quickly, again, we went and spawned a vehicle. I quickly got to that vehicle and decided to start the job. Now, one thing I did notice is it did take me a while to figure out where the boxes I had to collect are, as there's nothing on the map indicating or nothing telling you exactly where to pick the boxes up from. So if I did not see these boxes out of the corner of my eye, I'd be looking around for probably 10 or 20 minutes. So honestly, if the devs are watching this, I really do hope that they include something showing you where to go, especially if you're first time doing it, so you aren't just looking around for these boxes they tell you to collect. So after finding them and collecting all of them, after a while, again, I really do hope that they do some kind of marker, because if I hadn't seen this, I would have been just driving around in circles, not knowing where to get these boxes they're telling me to get from. And after finally getting all of the boxes into my truck loaded up, which again, you can only carry 10 at a time, I was given a location of where to drop off these. So quickly, I took my mule and headed over there in hopes of maybe dropping these off and making a little bit of cash on the way. Now, after getting to my first delivery location, I also got a little bit of a salary of $1,900, so I'm guessing this is just the universal basic income everyone gets an hour. I thought it was pretty high, but in general, I thought it was a decent amount. We also did earn a loyalty penny, which again, a little bit of spelling errors here and there I noticed a lot, made the server feel a little bit sloppy in my opinion. But after finally dropping off all of my packages and making a little bit of money, I think we made around $35 per package dropped off. So not a ton, but definitely a little bit of money in our pocket. I decided it was time to head up north and test out the orange as well as the tomato jobs and see what they were all about. So about halfway through my journey up north to check out this new job, a hacker did appear in my car, and I also noticed a flying Hakuchu drag, so definitely some of the stuff that you will see the first couple days of a server. Honestly, don't blame Dreamworld at all. Pretty much every server that releases that has no whitelist, the first couple days there are a lot of hackers, but this was definitely an interesting hacker as he had just popped into my car and decided to say absolutely nothing. But on the way up, I decided we would stop at a convenience store and maybe pick up a phone and test it out a little bit. So, after parking and having my little silent hacker friend stay in the car, I decided to go up to here and buy a phone and hopefully test out the UI. Now, it did take me a second to figure out that I had to use the phone to actually use it, but after figuring that out, I opened up the phone, and surprisingly, the phone was actually very nice. This is probably one of the nicest phones I've seen on most servers. It was super intuitive and super clean in my opinion. Everything worked really well, everything was super responsive, which you don't get on a lot of Rage servers. So it was very nice to see this for a change of pace. And after checking out the phone for a little bit, going through the messages, going through the contacts, going through the little phone dialing system, I decided it was time to finish our journey, go up north and check out this orange job. And with my little hacker friend waiting for me in the car, I knew it was time to head up there. So after getting to the orange job, of course I had to quit my old one, and of course after finally knowing how to go on duty, we went on duty, everything like that, went to spawn the vehicle, and unfortunately, again, our little hacker friend had taken over the vehicle and taken it over for himself. Now, after a couple more tries of spawning the vehicle, my little hacker friend had decided he's had enough and decided to float away into nothingness, where, as he was floating away, I decided to quit my job and hopefully leave him a little bit more stranded. Now, after finally re-getting my vehicle, respawning it, and actually being able to get into it this time without the hacker going and snagging it from me, I went over to the first collection spot and started to collect fruit. Now, the main thing I noticed when doing a couple jobs on this server, as you will see throughout this video, it seems that most of the jobs are very repetitive. A lot of them seem to be go here, grab this vehicle, drive here, collect these items, put the items in the vehicle, then drive the vehicle to a location, unload these items, and do it all over again. I really hope that the jobs are changed a little bit to be a little bit more different from each other, because when I was testing out a couple of the different jobs, again, they all really felt the same, with just a collection, storing it in your vehicle, bringing it somewhere, and selling it. Again, same with this job, we basically just grabbed those fruits, stored it in the van, drove it over to this location, and we're unloading it here. Again, it really did not feel too great, although we did earn, I believe, some reputation points or something like that as well. So I'm not sure if that does increase pay, but overall the jobs did feel like they weren't really paying a ton, especially with the universal basic income every hour being 1900, or at least what I assumed to be 1900. So after testing this job out a little bit, I decided to head up north and see some stuff up here. First thing I noticed was that little thing you just saw where you can actually import guns, or actually transport guns, I'm guessing. And same with this for vehicles. I'm guessing these are just for people who own dealerships and gun dealers, which I thought was a pretty cool idea because it does force some of the players to go up north to get their inventory or their stock of their vehicles or guns, and definitely allows players to be more spread out across the map. Next, I decided to look at my first little thing of housing because I hadn't really seen too much housing on the server yet. So it's a little motel, so I decided to pull in and check the price of what a motel room would cost me. And thankfully, it turned out to be not too horrible. I believe it was around 50k. So again, not that bad, especially with the UBI you're getting and how much money you do make off jobs. And another thing that annoyed me a little bit, but again, this is really nitpicky, is that the actual house locations, the little green circles, did kind of phase through the floor, so you can actually see them above you, which was kind of annoying, but again, that's kind of a small thing. So after that, I decided to look through a little bit more of one of the 24/7 stores, because I hadn't really looked at them too much the first time we bought our phone. So I decided to look through and test out some items, so I bought a chair, I believe, as well as a tent, and went to go test those out promptly. And after figuring out the only thing I could really do with them was drop them and then have them as a little prop, which gave me a couple ideas which we will explore later. I figured that, it wasn't really worth too much messing with these items as they seem to be just for cosmetic or for RP reasons. I decided to get back into my car and go test out the different UIs for both, I believe. First of all, the hairdresser, which you'll see now, and the tattoo shops. First of all, a couple things with the hairdresser one is that it seems you had to move each different category, such as hair, hair color, and all these things, up by clicking on the plus or minus. A slider bar would be very much needed in this situation, as if your beard is at, let's say here, type 255, you'd have to click 255 times to get down to the beard you want. So hopefully they add in a slider for these menus in the future. I also did test out the tattoo menu, which was a little bit easier as some of the tattoos had different prices and they were also sorted into the various body locations for tattoos. I also think it would be nice if you could move your character around while in these menus, but again, not a super big thing, as you can move him around and then select the tattoo menu and basically set your camera up to look at whatever body area you're trying to put a tattoo on. And after checking out these tattoo shops, I decided to go test out the lumber mill job, but unfortunately it seemed that I actually needed a truck to be able to actually do this job, which was a little annoying. I wish it would have said so beforehand, so I didn't make my whole way up there, quit my old job, and start this job just to figure out I need my own truck. So after unfortunately not being able to do that job, I figured I would go test out my hypothesis and went to one of the banks, grabbed some money, and decided to buy a ton of chairs. I think I bought around 9 of them. And I went over to the highway to hopefully go test out what I thought might be possible and may lead to a lot of trolling and a lot of stuff in the future. And unfortunately, after placing down my tent in the middle of the highway, I decided to go and place all of my chairs down in the middle of the highway, creating a little bit of a barrier. Now, I do think this is a cool feature, but 100% it will be abused by people to just spread them all over the highways and make it so you can't drive. And it's not like you can just drive through them. I decided to test it, and it turns out once you place these down, they are solid objects. So if someone were to buy, let's say, 100 chairs and get 5 or 6 people and stack up the whole highway with chairs, it would not allow anyone to go through that highway. Hopefully they do change it so you can only place these items in specific locations, as they are a cool idea and a cool feature, but unfortunately I guarantee they will be abused. Now, I decided to end my journey here, unfortunately, but I did definitely learn a lot about the new player experience on the server, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that segment. It's my first time making a video like this, going over kind of a server in general, going for the new player experience as well as showing some of the features. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this new series on the channel. And again, if you guys do want your server to be spotlighted, please send me an email at itzezgames@gmail.com. Without further ado, let's go over into what I thought about the server as a whole and the new player experience. So first of all, I did notice that the inventory was very janky. You can't really restack items. If you do split items, again, you're kind of just stuck with a bunch of split items in your inventory. The inventory items and these slots are also very big, so every 4 items, I believe, you have to actually scroll down to see a new page. There were a couple spelling errors and untranslated scripts that would be in different languages, which did seem a bit lazy on the server, if I'm being honest, and I would like these to at least, especially for the main menus, have the correct spelling. Again, it's kind of a nitpicky thing, but when you have a whole server dedicated around RP, it would be nice for the menus to be spelled correctly. There is also a couple more issues with the inventory I noticed. You're not actually able to see how much you can carry. If there is a max, I don't even know if there was a max limit of how much you can carry, but there was none shown or none actually immediately available to the player to be able to see straight off. I do think also a lot of the UIs for both the clothing menu as well as the hairdresser and the tattoo shop could benefit a lot from a slider or something else that makes it a little bit easier to change clothing so you don't have to click 100 times to get to the clothing you want. There are also a couple of really cool things on the server that I think really makes it stand out, such as the achievement system and the, I believe they call it the reputation system or something like that, or the loyalty points or something like that for the jobs. Now, unfortunately, they don't really explain to you what these loyalty points do during jobs. You just kind of gain them over time. I assume it would increase your pay, although during, again, my tests, I didn't see my pay increase at all. But overall, the server was quite enjoyable to check out. There were a lot of issues, again, a lot of stuff that just could be fixed, especially for a re-release when you wait a long time to work on the server. You shut it down for a long time, then you re-release it, and it seemed there were still a lot of bugs and a lot of just small things, such as spelling errors and untranslated scripts. I really do think that they should have put a little bit more effort, especially if they were completely re-releasing the server, to make sure it was completely polished. So overall, I did enjoy the server for the most part, but I think out of a 10 rating, I am going to be giving it a 4 out of 10. Again, my reasons for this are there are a lot of lazy issues I noticed that could have been fixed easily, such as spelling mistakes with main menus, and there were also a lot of different jobs that didn't work. I believe I tested out a couple other jobs that you need licenses and stuff for, which again don't tell you. There was a lot of situations where there was kind of stuff you wouldn't be able to know unless someone told you, which again is kind of frustrating, as the person who had to figure that out in the first place just had to figure it out through guesswork. And it would be a little bit better if some of the job descriptions when you're going to sign up for a job give you an actual description, unlike some of them. For example, the lumberjack job, when I went up to it and I went to the job info, all it said was lumberjack job. It would have been nice if it gave a little actual description. Again, it just seems like there was a lot of laziness on the server, unfortunately. Would have been nice to see something like you're going to need a truck for this. What you're going to have to do is cut down trees and then transport them, stuff like that, and you're going to need your own vehicle, or just a little bit more info about the jobs that you're signing up for. And maybe a little bit of a tutorial at the beginning of the server could help you out, because there are a couple things that are kind of hard to figure out intuitively, and a lot of stuff that's not very friendly to a new player. But I do think that is going to be about it. Again, we're going to be ranking this 4 out of 10 for the reasons I said earlier, as well as just the whole overall experience I've experienced on the server. Again, this is not supposed to be a personal take at either the server itself or the server owners. This is meant to just show people a server, give them a little bit of info, and possibly how the server owners could improve it, and maybe shed some new lights on a server that doesn't really get that much attention. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this new series as well as this new video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like, and if you enjoyed and you want to see more, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.